So I finished doing the curves, and I will continue adding a border and doing some dithering to the track. And by border, I mean tracks usually have in my tracks. I usually put a little bit of mud around the track because it looks a bit more realistic. And I learned this technique watching the tracks made by Markus Moller, or whatever it's pronounced, and it really improves the general look of the track. So I have another action thingy to do this thing, and I'm just gonna press play, and it's gonna add a border. So it doesn't look really good right now because it just looks the same all around the track. So what I'm gonna do is edit it a little bit so it doesn't look the same in every place. For example, here I'm gonna lighten uh, lighten the dithering. I usually lighten the dithering on the outside of curves and somewhere in straights. See, the trick in making dithering for tracks is not to make everything look the same, uh, and not to make it look plain. For example, the whole point of dithering is to make the track more interesting to look at and a little bit more realistic. So if, for example, I do I do like this, oops, I do like this I think doesn't look good because it's just plain, it's the same in all the parts. So I will show you later how I will do the dithering. Anyways, I'm gonna try to make the videos short, like 10 minutes long at most, because I just realized it takes a lot of time to upload them with my connections. But with my internet connection, it's not really good. So next thing, maybe I'll do the pit lane. I'm just gonna do it on the outside of the track. It would probably look more realistic to make it on inside of the track, but I think I won't have enough space for the scenery, uh, and I'm just used to do the the pit lane uh, on the outside, I guess. Especially because in the older version of Generali, uh, you used to be able to cut through the pit lane, so I usually uh, did the pit lane on the outside of the track. So to make the pit lane, you will have to use the path tool again, the same as I used to make the track layout itself. I usually tend to make wide pit lanes because it's easier to drive in them. I really don't like when tracks have really narrow pit lanes because I always crash into the walls. So I think a rule of thumb, I guess, is to make the pit lane half like the half, I don't know how to say it, half wide as the track. So if the track is 40 pixel, I'm just gonna do 20 pixel because the half of 20 is the half of 40. Alright, so I deleted the path, and now I'm gonna add border to the track. have to be careful because there's an area that I don't have to paint in this selection. Alright, here we go. And I'm gonna use the pencil tool to finish the edges of this track, of this pit lane I mean. Alright. I use the different color for the tarmac just because it makes it a little bit easier for me to edit it. Alright, that looks good I think. And next we're gonna add some area, a tarmac area for the pit crews. This is a really long pit lane. In my truck, I usually have really short pit lanes with maybe 3 or 4 pit crews, but I think I can fit at least, I think 6. Okay, another good tip is to match the to decide the word size is to look at the size of the track compared to the compared to a flat bridge. So they're about the same size. I'm just gonna decrease the word size a little more because I like my track a little bit narrow because it's more challenging to drive in them. Yeah, that looks good. And now I'm gonna add pit crews. Yes. So I was able to fit 6 pit crews, which is ideal. I'm just gonna place the starting positions a little bit randomly because I want to just um, save the track. I'm just gonna give it a random name for now because I don't have any idea about the name, and I hate the random names that the track editor creates. Alright, so now we have the basic track. You can actually, you could actually drive in it because I will add checkpoints right now. I usually tend to put really little checkpoints, really few checkpoints, because I just hate when I miss a lap because I missed a checkpoint by a really tiny bit. But I will make it so it's not possible to cut through curves. Maybe I will place some stones or traffic cones, road cones, yeah, and oh yeah, the finish line. Yeah, always disable the SF line here because it looks horrible. Also always decrease the zoom level a little bit because this way you won't see the ugly sandbox edges in game. And another thing I always do when I make my tracks is to decrease the water level and make the track on a really low height because this way you have more you're allowed to make higher mountains or higher uh, uh, I don't know, higher mountains, because you can use the hay map more efficiently. So I'll just save the track for now, and I'm gonna stop this video now. So this is the end of the second episode.